Well, it's a very good afternoon to you, Maspoti Segunema Wetu Window Ngenda Nubileni Kuzu. Welcome to another episode of Yilungelo Lakho. It's your right. We're coming to you live right here on SABC 1. Pambili, Umamba Pambili, Kamalam Gemna, Lingusipi was speech in Sound. Bukumlagana, Basiak Nigutuba, Lobang Alenia to a studio. The number to dial is 011 714 6918 and of course 6919. You can also send us your emails. The email address is consumer@sabc.co.za, or rather just go and find us on Facebook and on Twitter. On Twitter, I am at Speech in Sound. Of course, on Facebook, it's Yilungelo Lakho. And then go and check our status update today and go and post your comment. We'll read it during our transmission. Well, it's good afternoon to you.
Isikhathi bekade besilindele labafundi sesiseduzane ukuya emaholidini kaKhisimusi beyozidlalela bethokoze nemindeni yabo. Futhi bayazi ukuthi balindele ukwenzani ngalamaholidi.
On the holiday I watch movies. I go to Clearwater Mall and everywhere I want to go. I'll be helping my mommy, I'll be camping with my big brother, I'll be studying to go to big school.
Nakuba abazali bekujabulela ukuchitha amaholidi nezingane zabo, kodwa ukuba nawo ekhaya kudinga imali eningi.
Well, yazi ukubagcina endlini it tends ukuba expensive because they eat. I mean, they'll finish everything. So you find out now your budgets, end up before time.
I'm a first-time mum. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but with my nieces and nephews, it always costs an arm and a leg. Taking them to the mall, if they want to go and buy a few things, even just the movies, it's quite expensive these days.
Lauren Cohen, umzali aphinde abe umphathi we-Holiday Care Center, uthi nangoba abazali bethanda ukutotosa abantwana ngalesi sikhathi, kodwa lokhu kungabamba eqolo.
It does cost a lot of money. On average a day, you'll probably spend about 500 minimum with your kids. So, I find that, spending that money outside, and although we want the best for our kids and we want to give them the best all the time, we don't have to necessarily spend that amount of money, and there are other ways where you can save.
Kwamanye amakhaya lamaholidi asho isikhathi esinzima njengoba bethembele kwi-feeding scheme esiza abantwana ababalela cishe ku9 million lapha eMzansi Afrika ukuthi bathole ukuya ethunjeni. Lokhu kuchaza ukuthi kumele besebenzise imali ephindaphindiwe kunenjwayelo ngamaholidi. uCohen uthi zikhona izindlela umphakathi ongabambisana ngazo.
One way is to actually find a school that does a holiday care program. There are churches as well that do holiday care programs for their kids. And in other communities where there's a community center, usually parents get together that are unemployed and they have a community enrichment project for the kids over the school holidays.
Kwi-Holiday Care Center izingane zingathola ukuchithiswa isizungu ngendlela ezahlukahlukene.
This holiday care, we're doing a Christmas theme. So we're going to put a whole lot of Christmas decorations up and Christmas trees and faux Christmas presents as well for the kids. We also have a Christmas show that we have for them. Every single week we do a different art activity. So we either do pottery, or we do mosaic work, or they do t-shirt painting. And then also the food. The food is so much more fun because the kids get to help us to prepare the meals. The kids get to be proactive in the preparation of the meals. So they'll cut up the tomatoes, they'll cut up onions, and they love doing that because they see MasterChef on TV, and when we do it at school, they think, wow, I'm also there.
Okunye abazali abangakwenza yilokhu. Bheka izindawo zokuzithokozisa ezinamanani aphansi. Ukuthola indlela zokuzithokozisa egcekeni lakwakho. Pheka ukudla abakuthandayo ekhaya. Babukise nama-movie ekhaya. Kanti nokuthi ubenze besize ngemisebenzi yasendlini. Abanye abazali sebenazo izindlela zokujabulisa abantwana uma kuvalwe izikole ngaphandle kokusebenzisa imali eningi.
We try and just keep them active with creative things, Something also we like to do is buy vegetables and herbs, and we make a little vegetable garden, and we do things at home that just keep them busy, So you don't have to spend all that money.
If you have got all these areas where you can go bargain hunting, you go to the restaurants like Cabo Spare, whereby they do have those specials for kids, or you take them to these amusement centers like your Gold Reef cities. At least you can bargain there and keep them busy.
uCohen uthi kubalekile ukuthi abazali behlangane njengomphakathi behlanganise amakhanda beqhamuke ngezindlela zokugcina abantwana ngamaholidi. Uthi lokhu kungabongela eningi imali abathengi balapha eMzansi njengoba emva kwaKhisimusi bazobe besabhekene nezindleko zokubuyisela abantwana esikoleni. Unompumelelo Mthethwa, Yilungelo Lakho, eGoli.
All right, masibamba ngasibini-ke kuNompumelelo Mthethwa on that scene-setting insert. And now to help us equip with tips that can still make our Christmas holiday memorable despite our cash flow difficulties, let's welcome Precious Nayana. She's coming from, she's a consumer rights activist. She's coming from a consumer rights NGO, that is Consumer Fair. We also have Lauren Cohen, yena ovela phaa kwiziko leeholide zabantwana, that is Little Kings and Queens Holiday Care Center, rather. And then we also have Injingalazi, that is Professor Michael Rodolphe, yena ovela phaa kwi-Siakha project, iphulo elingenanjongo zokwenza imali ngelasemzini. And they also focus on a lot of things. They focus on vegetation, how to teach your children to do gardening around this festive season. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Yilungelo Lakho, and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, I suppose it's that time again. I mean, we just can't escape the festive season, the excitement that comes with it. Precious is somebody who deals with consumers on a day-to-day basis. Tell us a little about what's the psychology, what's most likely to be the psychology of the consumer around this time, especially those who are guardians or in supervision of children?
The expectation is to spend.
Yeah.
Everyone spends around the festive season. I think everything is built around spending. But as a consumer, you must understand where we are financially. That, I mean, of 19 million South Africans that are servicing credit, about 11 million of those, they actually are heavily indebted, which means they are actually behind with their payments. So around this time, I think instead of like going out and trying to spend money, you know, on things that are not so important, maybe it's rather better to just try and save and find other ways of doing things, like, you know, getting involved in your community and things like that.
Yeah.
So from a consumer perspective, it's like, it's fine. Go have fun, but be sensible.
Lauren, like I said earlier on, that schools are closed, kids are at home, the parents just can't escape and have a moment of their own. They have to be with these children. But how do you entertain the kids and also make sure that you don't spend much? As Little Kings and Queens Daycare Center, what is it that, what programs or other methods do you give to parents to equip them on how to take care of children around this time?
You know, I personally, with my own kids, we do our baking, you know, help in the kitchen, help to clean. Kids love cleaning. If you give them a bowl with dishes and let them wash the dishes.
That's not exciting.
You think it's not exciting, but they love it because they're doing something that they don't do on a regular basis. Also, imaginary play is something that, you know, that doesn't cost anything. You know, making a tent in the house with blankets, putting them over the couches and stuff like that.
All right.
You know, you don't have to spend money, but you can open your mind and think as a kid again. That's what I advise my parents.
Okay, think of what you would have loved to do as a child around this time. Because I know that, I mean, as a kid, you would do a lot of chores. You would go and do gardening and whatnot. And just talking about gardening, Professor, I know that that's specifically your department. How do you ensure that you make gardening so exciting for kids, especially around this time? You talk about ecology or vegetation and all the kind of stuff that you do as Siakha NGO in partnership with Wits University. Just take us through some of your programs.
Thank you. And I think, you know, what's very important is that so many kids just have the expectation of buying fruit and vegetables from the supermarket or from the vegetable store. And what we found is very exciting is when they see the actual produce growing, they get very excited to see a particular vegetable or a fruit or a nut growing. And so in addition to creating that awareness of where the food actually comes from, I'd also like to link up with what Precious mentioned about the consumer. And food prices are getting greater and greater, and therefore to show kids and their guardians and parents of how to grow some food in their own home.
What kind of crops do you usually grow, though?
So, you know, in the Johannesburg climate, we have to be specific, but in the summer we can grow quite a wide range of spinach, of brinjals, of tomatoes, of onions, of potatoes, a range of different herbs, kale. So, you know, there is quite a wide range, and a very nice variety that you can make into salads and into various dishes which kids enjoy.
Okay, Precious, I know that as Kesacho before, Sati, the psychology is to spend more, and not save. And some people have not really prepared for this festive season throughout the year. But how do you escape that? How do you escape spending and still having fun? Because to many of us, spending is equivalent, fun is equivalent to spending. You can't have fun unless you give money. And there's a song that says "Fagiman Luzobona," and that's exactly the behavior that we're getting around this time, and the thought also. How to escape? What kind of other activities can we do?
I mean, there's plenty of things you can do with your children. First of all, I mean, we know we're here in Johannesburg, but not everyone comes from around here. You know, you have the grandparents living elsewhere in the province. So what you could do is a way of saving yourself from being stressed, because then you don't have enough money, you know, to give to children. You can send the children away to spend time with uncles, aunts, and grandparents. In that way, everyone ends up having fun without you only spent once the cost of transporting them, and then once they're there, they can learn. I mean, from rural areas, they can learn how to grow things and go fetch water. You know, we have like water shortage, so they need to know other sources of like really getting fresh water. Like you know, our rivers in rural areas, they still are just as good. Like where I come from in Harding, you know, we have our own rivers that we still drink from, and these days when you drink from a river, it sounds like a luxury because that's what spring water is now, but that's what we grew up drinking. And when we drink from where the source of water comes from. And it's so refreshing. And
that's education.
It is education. Yeah, absolutely.
But Lauren, do people really spend on, do people need childminders around this time? Are there parents who take their child to daycare centers during the festive season?
You know, there are parents who want to take their kids to daycare centers. Daycare centers have also become a little bit more expensive because of the fact that they are providing quality care, right, in essence. However, if you get a childminder to come in, or someone who doesn't have that much knowledge when it comes to children, you are gonna spend a little bit less.
Yeah.
My advice, like you know, would be for parents to get together as communities. You know, everybody. If you've got 5 friends and they've all got kids, and you say, "Listen, okay, we're going to do one day at your house, one day at my house, one day at that one's house."
So you split the responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know, and you make it fun also, because all the kids are together. They're all friends. They all, you know, because. I remember, sorry, when you were saying going to the farm, I remember going to the farm, and I used to love it so much.
I used not to love it, I'll be
honest.
Really? No,
I used to love it, but I think because we used to go for such short times, you know, it was like 5 days or something like that. But those memories will always stay with me because it's something that money can't buy.
Things money can't buy. All right, well.
And farms have animals.
Just
kids
quickly.
love animals.
Exactly.
Kids love animals. Well, tell us about things that perhaps you can do around this festive season. Things money can't buy. That's what our guests are saying right here in studio. You're still watching Yilungelo Lakho. The number is 011 714 6918 and 6919. We'll be taking your calls after the break. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. You're still watching Yilungelo Lakho right here on SABC 1. Well, today on the show, we're giving you tips on what you can do, or rather how you can enjoy the festive season with abantwana bakho instead of spending too much. Before the break, we had Lauren. Lauren was saying that you can take your kids for gardening. I was saying that I was not that adult who enjoyed gardening. Just talking about gardening, let's talk to you, Professor, about that gardening. You said that you do ecology, you do vegetation at Siakana. But how do you make gardening interesting to a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, or a parent like me who never really thought that gardening could be expected as a fun activity around this festive season?
So over the last few years, we've hosted quite a number of kids and from schools in particular who've brought their kids and their learners ranging from 5-year-old until, you know, young adults. And we've truly found that by showing them what they can do by planting seeds, by putting on some mulch on the plants, by even doing something like weeding, which seems to have a negative connotation. But if you explain to them how to weed, why you're weeding, it's competing with the water. And I think with also kids, we can have some creative things of painting pots or tires and making it look attractive. So what's very nice is that we can provide a range of very interesting, creative, informative, and things that they can actually apply in their home situation. So they take away with them not only the messages, which are important, but also some practical tips of how to grow some herbs or plants in their own home.
But are really kids interested in vegetation, and especially around this time? Because I know that we've created this culture of fun, music, shopping, Santa Claus, as I said earlier on. How do you then take them from that to saying, let's plant crops, and then you will see that we'll have these tomatoes in February next year and so forth?
Well, I think what's important is to firstly show them what is happening. And what's very nice is that we can show a range from the actual seeds to the seedlings to the plants and to the final produce. And they see that actual chain, which really stimulates their interest. They suddenly see, you know, the full chain which happens over seasons. But also the process of getting there, the importance of air and water and good soil, and when they actually feel the soil, and we can show the difference. I'm not saying every single kid is always very excited, but I can say with confidence that the majority
gets
have
excited.
shown some interest, and that applies to most things in any case.
And Lauren, at Little Kings and Queens, you also have activities around gardening and whatnot.
Yes.
But how do you make them interested? Because here I am, I'm a parent, I'm a 21st century parent, and I'm thinking, I just don't see myself going and digging in the garden. Do you perhaps do activities like treasure hunt in the garden, just to ensure that you accommodate your 5-year-old, your tween, your 12-year-old, and your teenager, your 15-year-old?
You know, with the gardening aspect, I think also when you tell kids about the environment and where we're going in the future, that also triggers something in their brains. Because, you know, obviously every child growing up, they want their world to last. They want, you know, they don't want climate change to be as bad as it could be if we all keep going the same way. So once you show them that picture, the picture of what we're gonna look like in the future, they always want to make a change.
They want to be a part of it.
Because they still have that goodness inside of them.
Yes, of course they do, of course.
And then also with regard to having kids at different ages, I'd always say to get the oldest one involved with the youngest ones. Because, you know, a lot of the time our older kids are always too cool.
Yeah,
they have that too cool syndrome, you know. So when you say to them, okay, listen, I need you to help me with your little brothers. You know, this is what we're going to do today, and I need you to take full control of this project. You know, when you're giving them that responsibility, they kind of feel like, wow, you know, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of this.
Right.
You know, and then the younger ones also letting them know that, listen, big brother's going to do this with us. Of course you look up to your older siblings, you know. So they want to do whatever it takes, you know, to please each other, you know, and creating that bond. The treasure hunting idea is a good one, though.
All right. Precious, we know that it's not just adults who gain weight around this time. Everybody, even the kids. In January, you're all struggling with a weight problem. We eat like there's no tomorrow. I mean, I was just telling Lauren before we got on air that, you know, you have kids, you host them, either they're your nephews or whatnot as guardian, but they just don't want to stop going by the fridge. They open the fridge, they close the fridge, they open the fridge, they close the fridge. But I think before we get to that, let's just quickly go and pay the markets, and then we'll be back shortly. Stay with us. You're still watching Yilungelo Lakho. The number to dial is 011 714 6918 and 691. What are some of the interesting things you have to tell us about hosting kids around this festive season, perhaps your children or your nephews? Let us know. Let us know what you think. The number is 011 714 6918 and 6919. All right, you're still watching Yilungelo Lakho right on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure. I said earlier on, you should send me those Facebook messages so that I'll be able to send or rather see your contribution to the show, or rather some of the ideas that perhaps we can share with other parents as well, spending or rather enjoying this festive season without really digging deep into our pockets. Now, let me go to those messages. I've got Sipho Seroto who's saying having a budget plan can help during a festive season. A budget plan which can be planned from the beginning of the year so that the money you manage to budget can help you during the festive season to avoid avoid overspending and having a financial backup after the festive season in January. Kutalo Stanop says, mna ndingacebisa abantu abasebenzayo benze i-stop order xa kuqala unyaka bamane bebeka imali kuso ngexesha le-festive season. Imali yakhona iyanceda ekuthengeni into esiwa phansi kwempumlo. Futhi ndibacebisa ukuba i-uniform yabantwana besikolo nge-festive season ukuba ibiza kancinci evenkileni. And then you've got Sibusiso Neti. I like what Sibusiso has done. He says, or rather she says, mna ndithengele mntwana wam school uniform ngoku kungekapheli bonus and abhatala ne-school fees for next year. How many people, like I think I'm really fascinated and inspired by what Sibusiso is saying, being able to pay for the school fees and buy the school uniform in December. How many parents do that, Precious?
It's a very small percentage, you know, and I wish people could learn from what Sibu, Kutalo and Sipo are talking about, because, you know, you have to have a plan. You don't have to be emotional, because if you do not have a plan as a consumer, comes festive season, you become emotional. All of a sudden somebody is bringing visitors, you know, that you didn't expect. Because you have visitors now, you feel obliged to entertain the visitors. Maybe that was meant to be the school fees money or uniform money. Now you're eating into that. Then come January, you are stranded.
Now, before the break, I was talking about the weight issue, which we all laughed about during the break as well. That it's not just adults who struggle with eating. We all just want to eat. You feel the need to eat around the festive season. Now you have children like Qitange Frigi, Qitange Vienna, they take fish fingers, all these small edible things. But eventually you'll find yourself doing groceries twice in 1 month, and that's what most parents usually do. So how do you ensure in Ndogwana Bantwana this time they don't eat as much, they still get to exercise? Because at school, at daycares, they get to run around, they jump, they've got challenges and all that. At home, they just watch TV and eat. How do you avoid that?
Now, this is why then our fun activities are important to plan for that, because then if they do not understand that, you know, for everything that I need to eat, you know, I must have worked for it. It's like, okay, have I been cleaning, or am I tired? Because that's how you use energy. If you just eat, sit, sleep, then you're going to gain energy. But most of our children now, you know, they have started picking up weight because of generally the foods, the quality of foods that we eat, that it's more store-bought than actually being grown at home and things like that. So when you were speaking about you not liking gardening and things like that, growing veggies, I mean, I don't remember a child that say, oh, growing vegetables or helping it was my fun thing to do.
Well, Lauren does.
We all did it, you know, with our parents, because everyone was doing it, but you had to get involved. It's only later in life that you actually appreciate it, but not as a child when you do it. This is why then as an adult, you have that responsibility to teach your children the values that you want them to grow up with. You know, you mustn't let a child like control what is it that should happen around this household around the festive season, because then the child is going to control you emotionally.
But how do you do that without
that?
really dictating to them what is it that's fun? Because I think that's where we really need to draw the line as parents. How do you make sure that what you are giving them or what you are buying them is what they actually need? And I think, Lauren, you also need to touch on that, because I think a lot of parents just assume that this is what the child wants, which really in contrary is not.
I mean, children will always want fun things, sweet things. Even like if a child, okay, what do you want to wear? I want chips. So no. If you want chips, you have to have your breakfast first, which breakfast is like proper. Then later you have chips. Otherwise, you know, if you give a child chips, that's all they're gonna have. They're not gonna want to have food. So you are the adults. You are more wiser. So you need to find ways of controlling the child to say, okay, is that what you want? You want ice cream? Okay, let's go do gardening first, and you get ice cream. That's it.
Wow, Lauren?
Yeah, of course. I totally agree with it. I think parents need to take more responsibility. We need to be the parents in the relationship and less about the child controlling what goes on in the homely environment. I can't remember a day when my mom, if I had to say to my mom, well, I want this, and she said, okay, it's fine,
she said that.
No, she never ever did that. She'd say, okay, this is what you have to do, that's what you have to do, go take your little brother here, go take your little brother there. There were a whole lot of chores that needed to be done before I got what I wanted. And we need to do that for our kids. We need to give them rewards. Instead of dishing everything out, then we
Make them work for something.
Of course, reward them with those good things.
Okay, let's get now into the Santa Claus theory. We all know, everybody, even as adults, I mean, I still haven't broken away from the Santa Claus. I still expect somebody's going to give me a gift around this time. So how do you ensure then that you also, you take your child away from that mentality that they have to? Because for some children, it's an entitlement more than being just a gift.
Yeah, of course. I think we must put the Christ back into Christmas, like I said. We have to now educate our children where Christmas actually comes from. Who was so selfless to die on this day for us. You know, when you, even no matter what religion you are, sorry, I'm just imposing my views. No matter what religion you are, I don't think it ever said in any Bible, Quran, any form of holiness that we have to buy a present. You know, we have to be with our family. Help, the kids need to help in preparation of the meals as well, you know, over Christmas time. Also excessive cooking. You know, we a society of excessive cooking. And then there's all these leftovers, and we're not, you know, my mom used to say to me, if you overcook, make sure you go out onto the street the next day and go give it to somebody, you know, that doesn't have. You know, and we need to understand that there's people out there in Africa that don't have nothing. So we can't be too excessive with everything.
Professor, you probably have grandchildren of your own as well, or perhaps children that come over your house around this time. How do you ensure that you, as well as a parent and as somebody who's very well thought when it comes to the psychology of the child and what they like for fun, how do you ensure that they have fun, still be responsible, but still you're not bankrupt at the end of the day?
I think it's a very important question, and I'm happy to say I've been blessed with 5 daughters and 14 grandchildren.
14 grandchildren, oh wow.
So
you really have to spend, probably spend quite a lot.
So I think it's important, and in dealing with them, it's exactly that balance that we've all spoken about, that on the one hand, there has to be a certain amount of discipline in what they eat, etc., etc. But there are times, and I had this lovely experience where I actually bought chocolates for my grandchildren and gave it to them, and they looked at me absolutely aghast, because here's the person who's been saying, don't eat sweets and don't eat this.
And now you're spoiling them.
I brought it and I spoiled them, and it was not only good for them, I enjoyed doing that, but that's not on a daily basis. And coming back to what Precious mentioned about the eating of the high salts, whether the chips or high sugar or high fats, this is actually creating a very big issue in South Africa with young people, more and more young people becoming diabetic, which is a lifestyle disease. And so coming back to the gardening, it is a wonderful environment where they are seeing or helping to grow food. They're seeing the importance of water. They're seeing the importance of exercise, because running down to our pond and filling it up with a watering can or a bucket and bringing it up, or making a little bed is exercise, but it's not like you have to run around the park, whatever it is. It's actually fun. And not least of all, there is a lot of evidence that working with nature, working with soil, is an incredibly therapeutic and reconnecting, literally.
I think we realize that as we grow older. We realize that as we grow older, that the more you work with soil, Precious, the more it's therapeutic. My grandma used to do it a lot. She spent her days in the garden, and we never understood. Do parents perhaps have to partner in that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like my grandmother, my mother, my aunt. They all love gardening. At some point, I just couldn't understand why, you know. Yeah, even now, I mean, there'll be like sweet potatoes, mealies, everything. You know, when I go home, I never like, you know, wonder what to eat. There's always something to take with me, and it's always so nice because it's organic, you know, it has no chemicals and things like that. What Prof was talking about, like the art of giving, you know, when you give somebody and then they show appreciation, you know, it's actually more rewarding for you, the giver, than the person receiving. So it goes into the communities, even where you have like a family that is struggling in the community, everybody would know that family, or if there are elderly people that do not have anybody, you know, you can get like kids to get involved and do something for them, and they could even make it a project not only around the festive season, you know, I mean, just be like a monthly thing that they do know, you know, they can have like fundraising activities where they can bake cupcakes, sell those, make money, make money, and then contribute that to a good cause. That's how you teach values, that's how you teach responsibility and stuff like that.
All right, well, let's quickly go for a net break. If uke wena ubukela apha ekhaya namhlanje sithetha ngeplans zonke izinto ongathi uzenze around the festive season. Mhlawumbe uyathatha abantwana ubase evenkleni and all these things. Let us know. The number is 011-714-6918 and 6919. And right now we've got Mpho, who's calling us from Davidton. Mpho is joining us on the line. Mpho, welcome to Yilungelo Lakho, Baba. Welcome to Yilungelo Lakho, Mpho.
Ngifuna uku-adoptha umntwana so angazi ukuthi mangifuna uku-adoptha kumele ngenze kanjani.
All right, guess what, Mpho? Our producers will take your numbers and then we'll direct you possibly to the centers that you can call in relation to that. Namhlanje kwiLungelo Lakho, we're talking about what to do around the festive season to entertain your children without really uchitha imali eninzi. But producers zethu right there at the back will take your number. Let us know right there at home when you're watching. You probably have some plans of your own. The number is 011-714-6918 and 6919. Let's go and drink some water. Take a breather. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us. Right, welcome back right here in Yilungelo Lakho. Namhlanje again in our show, we're not talking about adopting children, or rather where you can find children. We're talking about izinto ongathi uzenze around this festive season. Mhlawumbe izinto that you can do for fun, how you can do your shopping, things, activities ongazenza nazo apha ekhaya. Kodwa still ungazenzi ezo zinto uspende imali eninzi. Zezo zinto ke sizenzayo namhlanje nesincokola ngazo. Sinazo ke ingqali apha ekhaya, apha studio. We've got Precious Nayana, we've got Lauren, we've got Professor, and there are people who very well thought around izinto ongathi uzenze wena ngeli xesha. Bathethile ke ngegardening. Ndiyazi bemakhaya kuyalinywa ngeli xesha okanye sekuzawuvunwa. Khawucinge kuba mhlawumbe ungayenza kanjani la gardening. Very interesting for abantwana bakho. Mhlawumbe unesitiya ongathi usenze pha eback okanye nje izinto ongathi uzenza apha endlini idlala ojingi or play. Somebody else said you can also play with your children around this time because asidlali nabantwana really as most people. Now let's go and check some of the messages they've also sent. We've got Maputi Petros Kosa who says ayibo abantu abasafuni ukuhlala neingane zabo ngama holiday because badlala kakhulu. No guys, let's spend time with our children and give them love. And then we've got Musa AB Amuse who says the parents must use the means at their disposal wisely by not increasing their expenditure but by treating December like other months. Specifically Oscar Kupuna says speech akonto inzima ngathi kukucwangcisa kuba kuvele ingxaki ngengxaki so uphume tu kwi-budget khona kubalekile ukonwabisa abantwana. I think the issue of the budget really comes out strongly, that you have to budget. We know we can say this million other times, but what basically especially is saying is that you can have a budget, but something else will come and you will totally derail from your budget, Precious.
Yeah, absolutely. It happens with most people, even the wisest, but then it's like when that happens, you know, some people will have like emergency funds, for example, for when something that happens like that, then they can go and draw from the emergency funds. But most South Africans, like, if you look at how the inflation is going, the food inflation, transport inflation, education inflation is going far above the salaries, how they rise. I mean, it's on average, the food inflation is at standing at about 10%, you know, for certain foods that we consume on a regular basis, whereas the national or the general inflation is standing at 5%. So when companies give like rises, like salary rises or increases, they would give you like inflation plus 1% or 2%, which is like 6 or 7%, which is still way below the cost at which you spend, you know, your things like food, transport, and things like that.
I know before the break you said that you can also abantwana can bake scones, bake cakes, do amagwinya, have lollipops, and go sell them on the street. What other activities can you do? Because I think that's quite interesting. I mean, especially listen, we're doing these lollipops because at the end of the day you need to get money for. You know, in that way, they know that they have to do this because it will benefit them. What other activities do you have?
I mean, there's a lot of things that children can get involved in. If you want to spend a little bit of money, I mean, there are theme parks that you go to where there's also like a learning that happens. And, you know, certain activities are available to kids for free, and some of them is just like a nominal fee that you pay to get into. And some of the malls now, they've got entertainment centers that you can take your children to, and those entertainment centers are free because they understand to draw people to come and shop in our shops. You know, we must provide something, you know, that they find as value. So you can leave your children there, play while you walk around, because it's very difficult to shop, especially if during around the festive season, because it's very packed, and then like having children with you. So those are the kinds of things. There's plenty of things that people can actually do without spending much, like playing with your kids, like you said. I mean, some fathers, it's they used to play soccer during their games. If they've got sons, you know, they can get them involved. I mean, even for mothers, there's plenty of games you can play with your children. Even cards inside the house, you don't really have to go outside, you know. I just like pause with like PlayStations and stuff. Do the games that like really stimulate your brains. All those. Yes, exactly. And that you don't. Some of the games you don't even have to buy. You know, you can draw games, and then you know it stimulates like the child's brain. You know, it makes it more exciting. Everyone gets involved, so you are bonding with your children. Meanwhile, you're actually saving on so much from spending.
You know, somebody said, Lauren, that actually around this time they take their children to church. They said they found that the church is the best center because that's where you have, I mean, the daily activities usually, churches, special charismatic churches. You find on Tuesday there's this and that and that. And a lot of churches cater for children around this this time.
That's
And not that I'm promoting churches, but it's another option.
That's so true. There's a church in London, which is close to Northcliffe, where our school is based, and they put an ad in the paper every school holiday for people to come there, and they don't charge anything. So, you know, looking in the newspaper, you'll find out where your community newspapers, where to go and where you can put your child if need be that you're not at home. But you know, the ideal situation is that parents need to spend more time with their kids. You need to, because you see your kids for 3 hours max every day. You know, and that's not a lot of time.
Okay. Now, already you are a daycare center. You probably know the frustration that most parents go through in January when they have to bring their kids back to school, the issue of finances, they are dry on finances and all that. What's usually the mood around that time, and how does it affect children when they see that, okay, we had fun in December, went to Durban, Cape Town and all these places. Now it's time for education, but we can't afford that.
They're so used to waking up later. They come there in tears in the morning. You know, it takes a lot of time for them to adjust with regard to the babies. You
but
know?
do you teach them at that age how important it is if you've got 5 rands to save 2 rands for this and 50 cents for that?
We actually have a baker day on every Friday.
Okay.
So we take out a little till, and then a child bakes something from home. So they bring little cupcakes, and then everybody needs to remember to bring their 2 rand to purchase a cupcake.
Okay.
That money that we make from that, we buy school books in the classroom, we buy new puzzles and stuff like that. It's important to teach them that entrepreneurial skill, because that's where the generations are going.
Talking about entrepreneurial skill, Professor, do you perhaps also on Siakana, knowing that you're teaching them about vegetation, planting, gardening and all that, do you also teach them to sell, or rather the business side of what they're doing?
I think it's essential, and I was going to pick up on exactly what Lauren has said. We really underestimate the ability of kids to be able to absorb. And when you use the word entrepreneurial, it's a very sophisticated
word
French
to
term.
them.
But the concepts of not only entrepreneurial in terms of generating some income, but the aspect of social entrepreneurship. And that's when you are actually being creative and imaginative of how you can help others. And that is a very important thing. So when people are coming to the garden and they are contributing and growing and seeing that that particular produce may be going to other kids that are less
fortunate,
privileged or less fortunate, it gives them a sense of that giving again. And that's very rewarding. And we need to teach kids at an early age about these concepts.
All right, well, you heard it from the professor himself. Kuthiwa ke masifundise abantwana ukuba banikele nokuba bakwazi uba bashishine ngezinto ezizincinci bazenzayo. Mhlawumbe amagwinya nje ubetshile uPrecious ngaphambili bungathatha nje nee-cupcakes nezigons ezinto esidla ngokuzithatha for granted. Teach them how to go and sell that. Iziqeda kushushu kusehlotyeni, take them to the streets. Those are the things you can do ngeli xesha le-festive season. Now, let's quickly go for another break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. You're still watching Yilungelo Lakho. Now, let me quickly check some of those messages you've also sent me there. Zandile Otangasa says, kunzima ukugcina imali kwixesha leholide. Mna into endiyenzayo ndingena istokfela sokutya kunye nesemali. Lo mali iye indincede ngoJanuary for fees zabantwana. Endingacebisa ngalo ebantwini musa ukuthenga izinto ongazidingiyo. And then we've got Sabelo Ndimande says, rather buy school uniform first than to have fun. And then George Voga Wakamatonsi says, it is good to buy our kids Christmas clothes, but we must think about school uniform come January. It's difficult to break away from this thing of spending, but it seems a lot of consumers are getting it, Precious, that you must first look at your priorities. Intoni ezaqala school uniforms abantwana or zimpahla zeChristmas?
Yeah, absolutely. The parents that are responsible, they always do things that way. But we also know that some, they would put money together, get paid in December, but they will buy alcohol, buy food. When January comes, somebody doesn't even have money for transport. You know, they go to Mashonisa and things like that. That still happen, and I think it's an awareness that we need to raise, and people should stop doing that. Maybe as a New Year's resolution, people should say, nah, this is how I'm going to go forward. But it is now, they haven't gotten the money, so if they get the money,
when
then
the
they
bonus
do the
comes, when the bonus comes,
they just run straight to buy the uniform and hide away the school fees money.
All right, let's go hear what Bridget has to say. Bridget is calling us from Pretoria. Bridget, welcome to Yilungelo Lakho.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right.
Yes.
I found the program that it was already on, but my question is for the lady from Little Kings and Queens.
Yes.
I don't know if this question it's.
What's your question, Bridget?
The question is, I wanted to ask, is it like which course that I must do in order to work with little kids? Because I'm very passionate to work with, but I don't know which career to follow.
Okay, you know what, Bridget? This is what we'll do. Lauren will leave her contact details, your contact details, the center, and so forth. We'll put them on our social page media, social page, Facebook page, and then you'll take up with that. Or rather, you can just do your own research. You know, Google some of the courses that you can do. I think loving children is more important, but we'll have those details right there on the screen. You don't really have to consult Lauren about that. But as far as kids are concerned, definitely you are an expert on that. Now, let's get into some of the things that we can advise, or rather advisory knowledge that we can give to parents around this time.
You know, we've spoken about the budget and all of that stuff. The one thing that I'd like to say is that if you are taking your kids with you shopping, it's so easy to get preoccupied by what's going on the shelves. Please keep an eye on kids. There's so many kids that are being human trafficked. Even in our neighborhoods, in our townships, in our communities, wherever you're staying, make sure that there is someone keeping an eye on your kids. Kids are going missing so often, and it's all under the radar.
Prof, what advice do you have, or rather word of encouragement to parents, especially those who have 14 grandchildren like yourself around this time? What words of encouragement do you have to just to encourage them to spend less?
Well, I think that the project in which I'm involved is within the inner city. It's accessible. It's can be a fun activity for a number of hours.
Yes.
We provide information, awareness, and some practical examples. And I think that it could be a very nice way of the parents and kids spending some quality time together.
Spending quality time together. Precious?
For me, spend wisely. And that's just the most important thing. It doesn't matter what it is, always spend wisely. And make sure that your kids, every festive season, they learn a new skill. Otherwise, they wouldn't get it from school. You know, that's very important.
Guys, because of time, thank you so much for joining us. You know, I really learned a lot as well. I'm not a parent yet. I'm an uncle. But this information will definitely come handy. Even in 10 years to come, you'll never know. Well, that was Yilungelo Lakho for you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, week on Monday siyaphinda futhi siza nempinda zenkqubo zethu phaya ngo-12 midday. Next week also siyavalwa kwizikolo. I'm sure wena mntu ububukele uzawuthi ufumane olwalwazi besithetha ngalo namhlanje ukuba it will come very handy. From me, Sipho Kanzaumbi, and the rest of the team, it's always a pleasure to be with you on Fridays. I'll see you again next time. God bless.
Yilungelo